Thank you so much for helping us review quizzes on the DevGym. Our quizzes are primarily built around code, SQL, PL/SQL, Java, etc., which means, number one, that it's easy for bugs to creep into our quizzes, and number two, it's really important that we make our quizzes as bug-free as possible for the best user experience. So for this, you play a critical role. After signing into the DevGym through your single sign-on account at Oracle, click on your name in the top right, and because you're a reviewer, you will see Review. You will then see a list of the quizzes that are available for you to review. Notice some of them might already have a status of final. That indicates that they're in play or have been played. You could still take a look at them, you could preview them, or you could comment on a closed quiz. For example, if a quiz was taken several weeks ago but somebody had submitted a comment that you want to reply to, you could just use your review page to drill down to it, comment on it. Primarily, however, what you're going to be doing is going to those quizzes with the status of review and editing it to ensure that it's of the highest possible quality. The first thing I suggest you do is click on Preview so you can take a look at the quiz as the players will be taking it themselves. And in general, what you do with quizzes on the DevGym is read the code and then figure out which of the choices satisfy the question at hand. So the first thing you want to do is literally take the quiz, read it, look at the choices, decide which ones are true, which ones are false. You can't actually submit your quiz when you're done, but you can say, okay, good. I've got a good feeling for this quiz now. I'm going to end my preview, go back to my review list. Now, of course, what you mostly want to do as a reviewer is edit the quiz, either to make changes or to propose changes to the author. So click on the ID for that quiz, and it takes you into the quiz editor. Now, quizzes on the DevGym are mostly code-based, and we really want to make sure that they are solid and working and no bugs in terms of the code. So it's a fairly complex array of options. So this is the main properties page in which we specify the focus of the quiz, the topic, the title. This is all things that you probably will not be changing. The difficulty, you might want to change this if you think that it's inappropriately set. The minimum version for the quiz. So many of our quizzes have to do with Oracle database. So we specify the minimum version that the feature that's being addressed was introduced. For different technologies, those will be different lists, different choices. The answer format can be multiple choice one right, or true false. You could pick the others, but we're really not using them right now. Multiple choice means that more than one choice could be correct, and those are the best kinds of quizzes as far as we're concerned, because it gets the people taking the quiz thinking harder. Generally speaking, the intended usage will be for a competitive quiz, so just leave that as it is. Generating verification code. Now, one of the things we do with our code-based quizzes is we actually generate all the code that a user can run to try it out and verify for themselves that the choices are correct or incorrect as we state. And the way we do that is by building our quiz from code sections. So for example, there's code for setup and cleanup and all sorts of different pieces. And then the choices themselves have code. And all these pieces are pulled together to generate verification code. Now, if the quiz is not code-based, we'll probably turn off generation of verification code, but usually it'll be turned on and you'll leave it that way. So you want to take a look at the main properties, make sure it all makes sense. Take a look at the what you'll learn text. This is what people will learn by taking the quiz. Then I would take a look at the question itself. So this is the text that they will use, that they will read to take the quiz. As you can see, this is the use of the code section. So that's the setup code taken from here and then plugged into the question, which is what you see down here. The choices are each of the individual choices. They can also have an explanation indicating whether or not they're correct. If you want to make changes to it, click on the choice ID, make your changes, and also once it's in review status, you'll need to put a description, a string text describing the change you've made so that the author can look at this later and make sure that it still made sense. For example, we left off a period at the end of the sentence. Add period at end of sentence. And now to refresh the screen, you'll see that that choice now has the period at the end of the sentence. So you can edit your choices here. The answer contains information that generally describes the answer to the quiz in addition to whatever text you put for the individual choices. Resources, we can add specific resources for the quiz. Most reviewers will not be paying too much attention here, but you can add a resource by clicking on the link, put in your URL, the title, etc. Usually the author will do that. If you're new to reviewing quizzes on the DevGym, you may not want to dive in and make a lot of changes. Instead, you can click on Reviewer Comments, and then you can leave a comment to the author. This is also the history of changes made to the quiz that you can see here, but you can simply add your own comments saying, for example, I think choice 2 should be incorrect. Please let me know what you think. Or I suggest that you clean up the text in the question because there's redundancies. Anything like that. You can also preview the quiz at any point. And finally, you can also look and see what the quiz will look like after it's been played and closed. So show post-quiz takes you to the quiz details page. So now you can see the choice, the question, the different choices with the explanations, the code that goes along with it, and so on. So this is a nice way for you to just verify how things will look when it's all done, as well as how it looks when it's being taken. When you are comfortable with editing the quiz, what you'll often be doing is working with code. Let's take a look at the code editor. So if I go to the code sections, go to my setup, as you can see, it's in code format, pre's. You can edit it directly here. You can also click on the menu and go to source, and you have access to the HTML. Now in general, with our quizzes, either you're going to choose a formatted source, or you're going to choose normal. So formatted source will give you pre's. Normals gives you normal font. If you've written some code and you want to make it formatted, click here, go to formatted, and then it's back into pre-format. So those are really the two main formats that we use. And you have lots of options in here, including putting in links, images, and so forth, but mainly as a reviewer, you'll be modifying the existing text, and you just want to make sure that it's either in the formatted text or the normal paragraph format. When you made all the changes that you think need to be made, or the author has responded to your comments and made the changes as appropriate, so you're now comfortable that this quiz is ready to go to the checklist, and then at least mark as passed all the mandatory items. I encourage you to look through all the items on the list and just see which ones are relevant to your domains, your technologies, and did you check them. But the most important thing is to say, yes, all of these are good. No violations of assumptions, verification code is present and valid as if appropriate, choices independent of each other, all the coding is styled appropriately. We don't have any unnecessary information that could cause ambiguities. Technology version is set properly. And once you've passed them all, and you can say save only the checklist or save all the changes on the page, once all those mandatory items are passed, then you'll see the approve button. And then you can mark it as approved. And that means that the author has gotten a clear sign off from you that this quiz is ready to go. And thank you very much. Okay, let's wrap up this introduction to reviewing on the DevGym by going back to the reviewer console. So we've seen how you can use the quizzes for review report to either preview or go in and edit your quizzes. You can also click on past quizzes to see a list of all previously scheduled quizzes that were played, and you can zoom right into edit that quiz. List of resources that have been created to support the quizzes. You probably won't be too involved with resources for a while. Finally, reviewer notes, just a list of all the recent notes added to quizzes so that you can get a sense of what's been talked about, which quizzes are being talked about, and where you might want to engage. And finally, just so you know how much we appreciate our reviewers, if you click on leaderboards in the DevGym and then click on reviewers, you and everybody else can see the reviewers and their contributions to the DevGym. Now, it may take you a while to climb up this ladder and get anywhere near good old Elik, who is our star reviewer. But as you can see, many people have helped us. We're very thankful that you're about to help us, and we look forward to your gym name climbing the charts. Thanks again, and don't hesitate to give us feedback if you have any problems or questions or ideas for improving the reviewer process.